Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Monday in the Rhythm. Oh boy, we got a ton of stuff to talk about. I guess the lead story is they're so worried about Trump they tried to shoot him again. Right. So at least this time they got him before he got any shots off, and they got the guy thanks to his civilian who took the picture of the car and the tag.
Right.
And he did a good job.
Yeah.
Listen,
And I guess they picked him up with an AR type rifle, an assault
yeah,
rifle.
I saw the picture on TV. They've been covering the thing exhaustively, but the picture's not really clear. Looks like a knockoff, but it's got the curved magazine. See, that's the thing you can always tell. AKs, they have, the Russian weapons. They have a curved magazine rather than a straight
Right.
magazine like an AK does. Um, uh, I mean, AR does. So it's pretty distinctive. Plus the sound when they're fired. So it's probably I don't know if it's an actual AK or just a replica that they make a lot of them that are kind of knockoffs of it. But it did look like an AK. But I was looking at the guy's record today on national news. This guy's got a record that's. Yeah, they said he's had interactions with the police over 100 times, including illegal firearm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like this. And it's like, well, look, the reality is you can't track the whole world.
Well,
But this guy should have been on some kind of watch list because from what they said, and it's still not clear because there's conflicting reports, they said that he lives in Hawaii now. So how he got on a plane? Yeah, yeah, he was a wing nut, left wing nut, as opposed to a right wing nut. The left turn, the right turn wing nuts. But all the wing nuts are. Yeah, this is outrageous, and it's fueled because of the society we live in with this they allow. They're so worried about you using the wrong pronouns or putting out quote unquote disinformation. They want to control our speech, but they won't control their hate speech when they call Trump a dictator and Hitler and every other thing. And this is what fuels these wing nuts to do what they do.
well, it's two rules. It's two rules,
Yeah.
and we've known that for a long time. It's two rules. Just out of curiosity, where did you get most of your news this morning?
I'm sorry.
This? Where did you get most of your news this morning?
Well, I actually like I do every morning. I watch local and national news. Mm-hmm. So I watched the local news because I'm looking at the weather too. Was filmed by AP, yeah, in Kiev too, or Kiev or Kiev.
Kiev.
Said it should be in jail. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. I watched the local news because I watched the weather, and then I watched some Fox coverage, and I watched some News Nation coverage.
I was going to say it had to be Fox or News Nation because NBC gave it very little coverage. I mean, it was like a 2-minute blurb. ABC gave it about 2 minutes. Last night at the 6 o'clock newscast, they gave barely anything at all. CNN gave it a little more coverage than I expected, but yeah, Fox News and News Nation seems to be the only two that are really reporting the news.
Well, they'll give you the in-depth reporting because they actually, I don't know, it was ABC, NBC, and I forgot the idiot's name, and he's a pretty well-known idiot. He actually said and implied on the newscast last night that it was Trump's fault. He said, Donald Trump's been talking about the Haitians and everything else, and this heated rhetoric. News Nation's fairly. It's kind of the only one that's like semi-balanced, although they do have a few for both. but look, CNN, uh, MSNBC, those things are just, I mean, they're ridiculous. Even the regular national news, like I said, I forgot which reporter, and he's a very well-known reporter, actually basically blamed Trump. So you're right, Jeffrey. You're not supposed to be able to kill somebody, even if you don't like what he says. But the thing is, it's not. How about them calling Trump Hitler and a dictator and a threat to the world? It's like that doesn't have anything to do with it. And you got a guy on the national news kind of trying to reduce the the outrage that we should have that somebody tried to kill somebody. Yeah, and yeah, it's correct. Look, they've turned this country into a nut house. That's what they've done with their woke stuff. They can say anything they want about anybody. I mean, look, we've been victimized by the same thing. We were called everything. You name it, misogynist. Promoting violence against women and all kinds of other crap, which was BS. But this is what we got. We're turning this country with all these yo-yos that go to college and get brainwashed. Yeah, that's right. Goldman said Trump must be eliminated. That's a pretty broad statement. That can be, especially when you're a nutcase living in the cellar, watching video games all day. Normally, when you say somebody should be eliminated, you just got through watching Goodfellas or something like that. You're going to try to go kill somebody. These people are crazy. I mean, the country's out of control. And what really gets me is when Kamala put out the tweet, she says, yeah, I'm glad to know he's okay, but there's no room for violence in this nation. Didn't you get bail money for people that burnt down a city, murdered people? That violence was okay. Therein lies the problem, CJ. Like you said, there's a double standard. They can call him Hitler. They can say he's eliminated. They can have left-wing comedians walk around with a severed head, Donald Trump's severed head, and say, I'd like to chop his head off. Robert De Niro can say, I want to punch him in the face. They can say anything they want. It's okay. Taylor Swift and her boyfriend now wants to, I don't know what Kelsey's going to do if they move out, because he can't play for the Kansas City Chiefs if he's in a commie country. They don't have football. I guess he'll be carrying her water. But I mean, this place it's out of control. And Jeff's right. Listen, people say a lot of things, and we have a right to do it. That's what makes this country great. You can't act on it, but people have a right, and that doesn't give you the right to shoot somebody because you don't like their ideas. If that was the case, I wouldn't have enough ammunition in the world to. Assassin's son. Yeah. Father hated Trump as every reasonable person. There you go. Tell me the kid's not brainwashed. I mean, there you go. There you go. Listen, you got to be reasonable. You don't have to like everything like we say. You don't have to like what we say. We don't like what a lot of people say, and we say we don't like it. But we're not going to go promote that they should be killed or something like that. This is just it shows how this society has degenerated. You have listen. My philosophy's always been: you don't like what somebody says, you say it. You give them your side of the story, and then you go, what? You don't kill them. You just go, I'm not going to hang around with that asshole. That's all. They're not a friend of mine. I don't like the way they are, but nobody's holding a gun to my head, forcing me to stay in close proximity to these people. I've bargained with a lot of people in my life across the table that I didn't like, still don't like. We'll have no social contact with them, but we bargained. Just like lawyers. Lawyers go into a courtroom. Some lawyers like each other. And after the court, after they beat the crap out of each other in court, they go out and they have a sandwich and they talk about the football game or something. That's what they do. If they're two lawyers that dislike each other, they beat the crap out of each other in court, and after the case is over, they go their separate ways. It's that simple. Nobody's forcing you to socialize and interact with people you dislike on your own time. You have to work with people you don't like. I mean, look, I get along with people like the Red Sox. I give them that. You like the Red Sox? Yeah, okay. But it's crazy. I mean, this is the second attempt. This country should be outraged. And then they had the Democrat this morning on the national news. They had a congressman talking about that, the threat level. He should have had more protection, which he should have, because it's not on what your office is. It's on the threat. If you have a more severe threat, you need more protection. Trump should have had more protection the whole time, because he is a lightning rod. But the Democratic congressman does one have to come out alive. Yeah, there you go. Stuff like that, but that's not inflammatory, Stevie. That's not inflammatory. See, they can say stuff like that. Yeah, it's just. But the Democratic congressman said, "Well, the Secret Service is stretched thin. They're working a lot of overtime. They're burnt out." He didn't mention the fact that the one who was in charge of the first assassination attempt had flunked their tests. He didn't mention the fact that the previous director of the Secret Service was hiring on quota hires and hiring unqualified people because of their gender or their sexual orientation or their color or whatever. Not the best. And they got a whole bunch of vacancies there because people don't want to work at these woke places. It's like the military. Why do you think the military's having so much problem getting recruits now? Your life's on the line when you're in the military. Your life's on the line when you're a Secret Service agent. You want to be with somebody that got the job because of woke standards. They want to DEI, Secret Service, not the best of the best. That's what we should be trying to get. But no, the wokies said, no, that's not the way you do things. Well, it is the way you do things in these things, because the wokies live in a dream world. You see, if you're getting a crap beat out of you by a Venezuelan gang somewhere and the police show up, you better hope the two biggest cops that you ever saw got out of the car that can handle themselves. Not 205-pound woman. I'm sorry. That's the reality. If you're on a third floor of a burning building, and I used this scenario many, many years ago in college before all this stuff started, when they were talking about that stuff, you better hope a guy that's strong enough to get you and him out of a third floor window and down a ladder, not some woman with 85 pounds of equipment on her back that's going to have a hard enough time getting down the ladder on her own, getting back down there. You better hope these people are physically qualified. And I know people are going to say, oh, that's sick. No, the reality is it's true. They used to have a test for fire and police, a physical exam. that virtually no woman could pass. So what did they do? But it was a good test. It tested the physical ability you need to do those jobs. They eliminated the test. They changed the test. They changed it so anybody could pass the test. You could be a physical wreck and pass the test. They also lowered the entrance scores. These jobs are not making widgets where the only thing that's going to happen if one of your quota hires screws up the widget machine and they come out digits instead of widgets. These jobs, your life's on the line and somebody else's life is on the line. The people you're protecting, their lives are on the line. Everybody in their vicinity, as in the first assassination attempt, we had 2 people severely injured and a person died. You can't use this ridiculous DEI crap for these jobs. Soldiers have to be physically fit. If there's a woman that could pass the physical, she belongs on a job. But when they couldn't get maybe 1 out of 1,000 that could pass that old physical, they changed the physical and made it less safe for the public that they're protecting and for the firefighters. If a woman can do the job, fine. But those are jobs that require a certain amount of fitness and those tests, but they eliminate.
You're muted, Chip.
This keyboard is so sensitive. Every time I put my glasses down on the keyboard, the thing mutes. But, these are jobs that, require certain things. And, they got rid of the height requirement because of the ethnicities that are not tall by nature, because they used to have height requirements for police. They got rid of that. And that I really didn't care, because there are a lot of shorter people who are in better physical condition and are better physically than taller people. Then they got rid of the school. They changed the test to make it easier. Lowered the score for a while, and then of course they got rid of the physical fitness exam, which to me was something. Look, this, like you said, Stevie, this guy's record goes back decades. This guy is a. Yeah, I was worried. Yeah, Big Brother was muting. Yeah, I worry about that all the time. But yeah, you're right, Stevie. This guy's record. I was watching it last night on TV. I mean, this guy's record goes back decades, and I mean, he's got some real stuff on that record too that shows this guy is out there. I mean, if anybody, they put Tulsi Gabbard on the watch list for flying, a former congresswoman, because she dropped out of the Democratic Party. This wingnut had to get here. I don't think he swam from Hawaii. It's a pretty long swim. He got here and got on a plane probably, and those details haven't been released yet. But I mean, this whole thing is just absolutely crazy. It's absolutely, and then to listen to the way they just divert and deflect everything. Like, oh, well, they're shorthanded. Why are they shorthanded? Nobody wants to work with there anymore. The military, nobody wants to go in anymore. They're gonna stick you in a foxhole next to someone who can't cover you if you're going to cover them. This is crazy. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a lot of ties. There's a lot of questions. How did he get there? Was he surveilling the place? If he hasn't been there for a very long time, did he have help? Did he have information? But like I said, the bottom line is this shouldn't be happening. We get back to what Jeff said. I mean, you just don't have the right to go out and shoot everybody you disagree with. I mean, this is what made the country great. We could have a whole bunch of arguments and still disagree without wanting to murder the other person. And if, this is the reason they want to eliminate history. Because if you study history, which they hate history because you learn from it. One of the most contentious things that ever happened was the Continental Congress. When we were forming a government, there were literally fights. People were challenging each other to duels and every other thing. And when we were creating a country, that's the great thing about the country. You're supposed to be able to do that. Nobody in this country is required to socialize with people they don't like. But when we came here, the Quakers stayed with the Quakers. The Seventh-day Adventists stayed with the Seventh-day Adventists, and they all went to vote, and we all had a country. But now it's like you don't like somebody, you shoot them.
This country was the great experiment. That's all. That's exactly what this country was.
Yep.
And now we're destroying that great experiment. Okay.
Yep. It worked for a while.
It worked
until the commies and the political. Like I said, I always get back to that. When politics became a career, not public service, that was the end of it. That was the end of that great experiment, the beginning of the end. Because when Washington became president, they were going to make him the king, and he said no. Jefferson, they all did their public service, served their government, and then went back and gave it to somebody else. This is why they imposed term limits on themselves. Well, Jeff, all these wonderful, and you use some really nice ones. I like some of these, like genocidal, transphobic, hateful, but because what makes him transphobic? Because you don't agree with that. Well, you don't have to agree with a lifestyle. He's not saying let's murder all the trans people. This is the thing. They twist the narrative to suit themselves. It's like they put the label on you. Oh, you're a misogynist. You hate women. Oh, you're this, you're that. I've never heard Donald Trump say, I'm going to deport every transgender person in the country. He said, I don't believe men should be competing against women in sports. A lot of people agree with that. You don't have to agree. You don't have to become trans yourself. You can be anything you want in this country. What Donald Trump has said, and the majority of people agree, is we should deport all the illegals. What does that mean? Remember what Kamala said. You can't use the word radical Islamic terrorists. Well, we're not that far away from celebrating or honoring. Celebrating is the wrong word. It is a celebration to a degree of the bravery and the way this nation responded to 9/11. But she says you can't use it. Well, who the hell drove those planes into the buildings? If they weren't the very definition of radical Islamic terrorists, I don't know what the hell is. And there are radical Islamic terrorists. And even the Muslims will say that, because they're not all radical terrorists, but some are. But see, that's the thing. Donald Trump has advocated for one thing: deport illegals, which the majority of the country is for. I don't see them. They don't say it, but they're going to talk about because he makes something about sports that makes you a you're anti. Listen, that doesn't mean you're anti anything. I do not believe that men should be competing against women in sports for a very simple reason. I competed in sports my whole life. I've also competed in combat sports and trained people for combat sports. I know if a man of the same weight hits a woman of the same weight, they're going to probably do serious damage or kill them.
Right.
There is a physiological difference between those two. Those genders should not compete against each other. All you have to do is have a functional brain to know that. But that makes me some kind of radical that makes me, I'm against. Look, they can be trans, they can dress, they can feel they're a woman, they can assume that identity. It doesn't bother me. But what bothers me is you can't let them treat them and allow them to get into things where it isn't fair. They talk about diversity, equity. That's not equality. It's You're going to let them compete in sports. You're nuts. You don't know anything about physiology, about body composition and muscle mass ratios. You don't know anything. You're a moron. But this is what they love to do: label everybody. And it's like I said, this whole thing is just a reflection of how badly this country has deteriorated and how much all these commie college professors have brainwashed these people, because all they know how to do is call somebody a name. Oh, you're trans. You have a phobia against everything. Donald Trump is every kind of name. And you really had a really good paragraph there, Jeff, because you see what you put on that thing. This is what they're saying, and then they wonder why people try to kill this guy. You get some loony to read to listen to this stuff. They go, "You're right. I'm totally justified. I'm going to be a hero if I kill this guy." I mean, that's it, CJ. Take it over.
27 minutes, Chip. You set a new record.
Well, you can have 30.
No, that's all right. One of the things that you brought up was the fact that Trump is so dead set against immigration. He's not the only one. I watched a news article on TV about Poland. They don't want any immigrants. Turkey, they don't want any immigrants. England, they don't want any immigrants. France, they don't want any immigrants. All these European countries are saying no, 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 no. Nobody's picking on them. Nobody's saying, "Hey, look at you. You're a xenophobe. You can't do that." Nobody's picking on them at all. Oh, that's their country. They have the right to say that. Well, this is our country. We have the right to say it here. Unless you're a socialist like Kamala Harris. In which case, that's that. Can't say it.
The only quick comment I have, CJ, is that the irony is all of those countries and Donald Trump and there is nobody that doesn't agree with legal immigration.
Exactly.
The issue is illegal immigration.
People miss the fact. They miss that one word. It's a small word, but they miss it. Illegal. Illegal. They miss that word. And you're right, Jeff. And when they're choosing countries, they choose countries, and the gentleman from Poland and the gentleman from England said the same thing. If they think they're going to come into this country and get everything for free and not work and not be a contributor to this society, they're wrong. Well, here in the United States, if you come here and you're an illegal alien, we give you everything. We give you housing, which our own people can't get. We give you health insurance, which our own people can't get. We give you a debit card that has what, $2,500, $3,000 a month on it, and then if it runs out, you can go back and get some more. We give you all of this. What makes them any more special than you or I? That's what I want to know. What makes it any special than you and I? How come I can't get that? How come I don't get that? I should get that. And you're right. I don't believe the government should be funding the communist colleges and universities. Professors are all a majority Marxists, brainwashing kids. They are. And I went to some of the most amazing universities. I went to UMass. I went to the University of Minnesota. I went to the University of California, San Francisco. Okay? You want to talk about liberal? Go to UC. Go to the University of California. Anyone. They're all ultra liberal. They're all ultra liberal. BCC. BCC. Your favorite friend. Your best friendship from BCC. Dan Gilbard. Remember Dan?
But you
Now
know,
that was a socialist.
but there's a classic example. We always got along with Dan.
Yes, we did.
Dan used to call me all the time when he needed something and call you.
Yeah.
But he was a commie when it wasn't even in vogue to be a commie.
That's right.
You know, that's the thing. It just goes to show that we're not that, you know, we're not the ones who are xenophobic. They are. The fact is that, listen, you know, in Japan, Japan's always been like that. You can to become a citizen in Japan, you have to read and write and speak Japanese. You have to take a test and write an essay in Japanese. And you have to speak the language. You have to have a job. You have to prove that you can earn a living in Japan to become a citizen. This is, the United States. You wonder why we're having this problem. The Democrats just want voters. They don't care about us. The reality is that these countries like Poland said, you're not going to come over here and be a burden on the people of Poland or the people of Hungary or the people. Look what they did to Sweden. They allowed immigration. They turned Sweden into from the safest country in Europe to one of the most crime-ridden countries in Europe. But I mean, these people look, they're all full of crap. And like Stevie said, these commies in the colleges brainwash everybody. And what are you going to do? Like I said, these other countries are not anti-immigrant. But when you come to their country, they expect you to do what our grandparents did, which was come here, get a job,
learn the language,
and earn your way to the American dream. You know, when my grandparents came here, they didn't get a great job. They had to take the crappiest jobs that were available, and then they hoped that their children did better, and so on and so forth. But these people come over here now, and they throw all the Americans under the bus. We can't afford to eat anymore. We can't afford anything. But they give them everything for free, and they say it's okay.
Well, Linda, that would be nice. I'll bring it back up, Chip. That would be nice, Linda. Maybe we should do that. Instead of paying them to stay, we should pay them to get rid of them. It might work out better. It'd also be cheaper.
Yeah, they'll never leave here because we give them everything for free. There's no way that these illegals in the United States are going to leave. They're going to get stuff that they could get nowhere else on the planet. You know,
that's right.
Health care, driver's licenses, everything else, and they're murdering people at that place in Ohio that they made the big deal. I saw some woman whose mother-in-law was killed by a Haitian driver driving without a license, without insurance, was killed. And she said there's still no resolution. He hasn't even been charged yet. So
God forbid.
This is what happens. This is what happens.
Yeah. God forbid you get charged. I'll tell you right now. I have a comment I have to make, which is totally off the presidential assassination. It came to me this morning from the master list. So here's what our lawmakers are now saying. When it comes to transparency, lawmakers say more important to be effective. More important to be effective. In an age-old debate, do the legislation eventually accomplish priorities outweigh a centralized, opaque, and uneven path to get there? Count first-term Rep. Judith Garcia in the camp. She says in an interview on Keller at Large, oh, I like Keller, he's nice, that aired Sunday, Garcia was asked about a ballot question about the legislation to audit the House and Senate. She replied that transparency shouldn't be the letter of the center of concern about the House and Senate, but instead effectiveness. And Garcia said she thinks lawmakers' effectiveness should allay any other concerns. In other words, let us do what we want. Don't worry about it.
Well, there you go. What's her name? I can write. Everybody in her district should write a letter and have her removed from office, because that moron swore an oath to the Constitution that said that they are answerable to us at all times. Huh? So I guess that the Constitution, they can even supersede the Constitution of this Commonwealth. So this shows how clueless they are, because that's the Paul Coogan philosophy. Let us do everything behind closed doors, shut up and just pay the bills, because that's what she is. You're going to have to text me her name. I'm going to write her a letter.
Judith Garcia. Judith Garcia. I don't know what district she's in, but
I'll look her up. I got the list of all the reps. I got the current list of all the current list of all the reps. I'll look her up. I'll send her an email. Who says you're effective? Isn't that the people's determination whether they're effective or not theirs?
Exactly.
I mean, you think it's effective to spend $1 billion on illegals in this state and then dump it on the taxpayers' back? That's what you call effectiveness? This is why we are supposed to have accountability by the Constitution. But then again, who gives a shit about the Constitution?
Right. Who cares? Who cares about what we have to say? Doesn't matter. We're only the citizens. Okay? The only time you come to us is when you want to vote. That's it. And even then you charge us for it. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Well, I gotta switch back to your weekend flush.
Okay.
Because I know you started off with our favorite night owl sign.
Yeah.
Again, you want to encapsulate that little thing for everybody, because I think we got to remind people of how, because you hit it right on the head, because it was right on the money. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Nobody, the contradiction in everything they say. They want this for historical. Nobody cares about history. Our mayor doesn't even want the people in Fall River to stay here. He wants us all to leave and be replaced by people who have no freaking idea what the night owl ever was and don't care.
That's right.
And will never care. But we're going to spend
$125,000 for a sign. $125,000 for a sign. And the owner of the property, Nasarella, has said very clearly, it's my intent to sell this property. Well, then let them take the $125,000 out. And I mean, I like Anton Dice. He's a nice guy. I've worked with him on a couple of things. I've spoken to him. But sometimes, I think you got to really think about what you want to give historic designation to, or special significant designation. Because when you do that, you're protecting it. Now, if it's a significant property, it's only 6 months, and then it can still knock it down. But I want you to think about this for a second. That property isn't just that corner lot. That property is also the parking lot that Hertz and the donut shop use. So if that property's sold and the new owner doesn't want to let those two businesses use that parking lot. What happens to the businesses? They go bye-bye. And if the new owner comes in after $125,000 tax money is spent on the sign and says, I don't want that sign. It's only going to wait 6 months to get rid of it. That's where your tax dollars are going. And I don't care that it's only 1.5%. And you can justify it by saying it's $50 a quarter. It's $50 a quarter. You know what? That $50 a quarter is better in my pocket than in yours. I have been a firm believer, and I know Chip is, of repealing the CPA. That was a line of bullshit that was sold to us, and we got nothing for it. All it is another method for the city to use tax dollars without it coming out of their personal budgets, so they make it look better. That's how they fix the parks.
No,
That's how they buy air conditioners.
No,
That's how
right.
they keep their friends.
CPA has been nothing, for the most part. You know, I mean, listen, this historical preservation, the Night Owl Niner. You notice that only people who are pretty well connected get on the historical register. You try to do it if you're not well liked and you don't fit. We have very, very, as far as I'm concerned, and look, it's my opinion, and I'm not going to say you can disagree. I think there are very, very few places in Fall River that belong on the historical register. The Night Owl is not one of them. Yeah, well, we also warned you too, Scott. We were against the CPA from the get-go. We said that we knew that this would be another governmental boondoggle, and that it would be used for certain people, because that's the way these things always end up. You give them money, and then only the people who are connected get to use them. And we saw a lot of that being used. They did some good things, but they also did some things. They gave some really well-connected people a lot of money for things that weren't really historical. Listen, the Night Owl was a little diner on a corner that did pretty well for a long time. Like I said, when there were 3 shifts running in Fall River, the city was, everybody had a job in this city for the most part. We had fairly low unemployment. People worked 2nd shift, 3rd shift. The Night Owl was crowded. That's why they called it the Night Owl, because they were open 24 hours a day. And it's a diner. That's all it was a diner. It's not, it's Paul Revere didn't ride his horse by the Night Owl Diner and tell us the British were coming, because nobody was it wasn't there. It was a diner. And, they can put all the murals on the crosswalks they want. They can fix all the signs that they want. What they need to do is put people and businesses in those empty storefronts, and they're not doing it. They're preparing the Flint for the invasion of the yuppies from Newport, which will never come. It's all window dressing. I will remind you what the definition of insanity is. Repeating the same action and expecting a different result. We already did this on Prospect Street, idiots. Did it work? No. David Hebert did okay. The sitting mayor's friends did okay. Prospect Street, still Prospect Street. There's nothing there. Were all the big thousands of things that were going to happen to Prospect Street because they were going to redo Prospect Street? They did it. Nothing happened. We got to repeal the CPA. This is crap. But then on another thing that I thought was really good in your weekend flush was pointing out about some of these people that actually in write-in got on the ballot. And you stipulated that this Christopher Thrasher from Westport. And you're right. I think the people are getting finally fed up. They finally got it up to their eyeballs. Even if you had blue eyes, it's brown now, because the crap they've been feeding you has filled you up beyond your eyeballs now.
Yeah.
So your eyeballs are turning brown. So,
I mean, granted, all he needed to get on the ballot was 150 signatures, okay? But I believe he got substantially more than that to put him on the ballot. Now, that's a vacant seat because Paul Schmidt's not running for re-election. So you've got a Democrat, now a Republican, and 3, I think it is, independents that are running.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to be an interesting election. I mean, it'd be interesting if an independent got elected. But for a man to run a write-in candidate, as a write-in candidate, and to be put on the ballot, that's a success. That's a success. And the worst part about it, I should say the worst, the best part about it is it's happening across the state. It's happened in other districts. So it's not just limited to Westport. It's happening across the state. Maybe people are finally going to see a change in Massachusetts politics. Do I think we'll ever become a purple state or a blue state? We're a blue state now. We're going to stay a blue state. Do I think we'll ever become a red state? No. I don't think so. I don't even think we'll see purple. We may see streams of purple around the edges, but I don't even think we'll see purple. That is too much to ask for. Well, I'd like to see it, but it's too much to ask for.
But you know what's great about this, CJ, and you know it and I know it, and the people who watch our show know this, that the great thing about this is it shows that the people are beginning to pay attention. And the other thing is that now, because you have 2 or 3 independents, a Republican, and a Democrat, if these people want to get elected, they're going to have to talk to the people.
That's right.
They're going to have to tell the people what they're going to do for them. It's not just, okay, shut up, I'm running unopposed. I'll go up to Boston and do whatever I want. And now I'm going to tell you it's okay for me not even to tell you what I want to do because we don't have to be transparent. This is the great thing about it. We're making them go back to the people to earn their vote. And now you've got numerous people. And like you said, it's happening throughout the state. So it looks like, look, we know the state's fed up. We at one time, the last statistic I saw, there were 1,100 people a month moving out of Massachusetts. So people are fed up with this mess that we got here, you know, and it is what it is. But this is great. It's a great thing, and I'm glad you hit it in a flush because people have got to be aware. It didn't happen in my district, and I felt that was unfortunate. I was very disappointed to see no one come out against Alan or Carol.
I know.
But maybe next time, maybe there will be. You know, maybe there will be next time. I hope there are because this is great in Westport. I want, you know, they're going to have to bring their platform, tell those people why they should vote for them. And I think that's great. Make these people go out there and tell you what they're going to do and then hold them to their promises. So good for them. And I'm glad that was really, really good that you included that in the flush. So
I thought it was important. And, you know, I would love it if more people would share the flush so we can get our subscriber base to grow. It's growing little bits and pieces here and there because people are sharing it with their friends. They're re-emailing it and stuff. But subscribe to the flush. You'll see what is going on, and hopefully you like it. Well, I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great day.